there's so much that's been said about San Juan and the downtown area. And to me, I think it's one of the major last areas of focus that this visionary team of extraordinary leadership in this community, not only with our city officials and the volunteers that serve on the EDC board and other advisory boards and the staff here, but the proactive nature that this community has been doing over the last 5 or 6 years in terms of revitalizing the entire city. So the the interstate sort of grows by inertia because of the millions of cars that pass through on an annual basis there. And San Juan is very fortunate, being the pilgrimage city, the city of prayer, the basilica, and the #1 destination, single destination point in the valley, that San Juan has that opportunity. But not only is there the basilica, but there's also the Gilman Museum, the stained glass museum. There's also 5 luxury dealerships along the interstate. There's a lot of retail and a lot of restaurants. There's the Walmart, the new hotel. There's so much activity going on along that intersection. And as has been alluded already, we found out that about 80% of the people that come to visit up and down the interstate, the basilica and other locations, take their money away and they don't come into the downtown area. So we're fortunate to have been selected as the architect of record on several of the structures: the City Hall, the fire station, the new Parks and Recreation Center, the North Park coming up. And we were fortunate to have been selected to develop the downtown revitalization plan. It's a plan that was done 10 years ago that they asked us to update, and which we did, but we wanted to not only refresh what was done about 10 years ago, but to revision how we bring people down to the center of San Juan that used to be a thriving area at one point many years ago. And so we focused on the infrastructure and what we call the yellow brick road, is how do we get people down to the new downtown area, and then what do we do in that downtown area along Business 83 and Nebraska to revitalize that center. So we thought first that, well, most importantly is that we need to make it less vehicular and more pedestrian friendly, more walkable. And so you saw some of the examples. If you notice, a lot of the communities, I was very fortunate that I got to do a bucket list trip to San Francisco Bay Area recently, just got back yesterday. And we went to a lot of small communities, and what you notice that makes the community so special are the small things: the respite areas, the benches, the bus stops, the lights, the signage, the vegetation, the flowers, the awnings on buildings. And you see that over and over again in small communities where there's a lot of people walking around. We believe that San Juan wanted that. You saw an example of a 4-block area south of Business 83 to 9th Street in that video. But we also are going to replicate that and intend to replicate that north all the way up to the interstate. It's a 1-mile walking stretch of roadway along Nebraska, 1 mile down and then 1 mile back. One of the ideas that we had, along with many of the elements that we talked about, was that we wanted to honor the city's cultural history, both from a religious standpoint, spiritual standpoint, as well as the rich history of the community. So you saw some monuments that had the cross on them. And that's representative of about 20 monuments that we want to put up along Nebraska so that people can start that pilgrimage down all the way to the downtown area, beyond that from City Hall and the fire station, Old City Hall in that area, and then work their way back up and have that 2-mile walk, but have respite areas for them to stop in shaded places, and hopefully they'll go in and eat or get something to drink along the way. And so these monuments are going to represent not only the spiritual aspects of the community, but the cultural. And we're so excited about the new cultural arts district that is being implemented right now for the city's downtown area. So infrastructure has been laid out, looking at a median with new lighting and many other elements that are going to beautify that downtown area. So the next phase of the planning now will be the vertical side. What are we going to do vertically? There are 25 businesses up and down Nebraska. The city's been talking about doing some incentives to help revitalize and refresh those buildings, but also bring new businesses and attract businesses in the downtown area. And what if we wanted to put a new center that would have maybe conference abilities and hotel abilities and restaurants and other things that could be exciting from an entertainment standpoint. One of the things that we learned about planning when you're planning and revitalizing a downtown is the golden rule is that you can't have the visitors be the thrust of the economic vision of a downtown area. It has to be bought into and be utilized by the community first. If the community spends dollars there and they're attracted to the downtown and it becomes part of their life, the visitors will follow. And that's just a golden rule of downtown economic development and planning. And so we think that the vertical direction is what's gonna happen next with the possibility of a commercial development plan. That's the next phase. Once we start, we're working with TxDOT, working with the MPO. We're getting all of the things in place to begin the construction documents and then ultimately the construction of this 1 mile stretch. But I think more importantly will be the commercial development planning and the vertical planning of the downtown center, and that's what we're most excited about. And it's just fortunate for us that we get to work with such amazing, empowering leadership. There's never or rarely ever a no with the leadership here. They're very collaborative, they want to be involved, they want to be engaged. For all investors and developers interested in San Juan and where we take the vision for the next 4 or 5 years in this community, you have a very proactive, open government, transparent, with leadership that gets along, that's working together well. And that is important. That's probably the most important aspect of anyone who wants to invest in this community or any community up and down the valley, is that you have to have leadership that's working well together and not fighting, that they're doing everything for the best for their community. So everything you saw in that video was a collaboration of the leadership. They were been involved and have been involved every step of the way. We're not just over there working in a vacuum. Everything has been from the mayor down, from Art Guajardo and the EDC board, and from Ben and his staff. They've been working. And so as investors, as developers, as visionaries, and those who want to be in San Juan, you're gonna have a great working group to work with, and we look forward to continuing with them and excited about what we're doing. So we thank you, Art, excuse me, I thought Art was over there for the second one, I looked over there. Ben and Mayor and Commissioners, we thank you all so much for the opportunity. Looking forward to where we go next.